Eh. Hello and welcome everybody to the Six Pixels Under podcast. If everything looks different or sounds different, it's because I'm in a different place and I look like a literal ghost, but it's because I have massive windows in front of me, and that's awesome. But normally I also have a blind so I can at least block some of it. But the blinds was damaged, I'll say. It fell. Something wrong with the video? Well, let me know. Let me know what's wrong with it. If it's if it's I look like a ghost, like I said, I don't think I can fix it. It's just the lighting. Uh, like I can make it darker. Watch this. It barely even helps. Maybe it is my video settings. Maybe you're right. I don't know how this works. Oh yeah, there it goes. I look a little bit more normal now, don't I? Or is it worse? I can't tell. You guys let me know. Uh, it's not the full size? Oh, what the heck is wrong with this thing? Uh, so I don't know why it's not full size, by the way, in my defense. So for reference, I moved places, but I also had to get a new M drive. And so I actually had to reinstall Windows. And I lost a lot of my settings, so I hold on. There I guess. I fixed it. My bad, y'all. Anything else you guys see, let me know. I will fix it. What else? I think, let's see. Um, Trying to think what would this be better? No, I look like really light, so I think this one's better. Is it better now? Okay, cool. The black bars are gone. Alright. It wouldn't be a Nerd Slayer stream if we didn't have technical difficulties. But anyway, I am Nerd Slayer, or NS, or Justin, your host. And I'm here to talk about MMOs and virtual worlds and things like that. The mic makes a hollow sound? Oh no. Looks like it's only coming in through one channel. The mic has good focus? What? Alright, now I don't know if you guys are trolling me or not. But anyway, and yeah, we usually talk about virtual worlds, MMOs, online RPGs, MMORPGs, and stuff like that. The mic has good focus. I've never heard that sound term before. But I'm going to go ahead and start things off. So we already have a topic I wanted to address. And it's a couple topics from Massively OP. I like to get some topics from there. And then MMORPG subreddit are some other places I like to look for topics. These are probably like the biggest communities of like news and dialogue about virtual worlds, kind of like at large. And the first one we have here, which I just realized I don't even have a scene yet for I'm gonna do this live, hold up. I literally don't have a scene yet for my desktop capture. We're doing it live. Oh wait, that is browser source. I don't want that right now. Is it just window capture? I guess I could just window capture. And then just pick this. There we go. But let me make sure this is actually... Why is this not full? Fit to screen. There it is. Okay, but now it's like in the middle for some reason. Anyway, I need to put myself on top of this. See, why are there black bars on this one? On my window capture. Properties. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. I got no idea. Oh, you have to stretch it, I guess? That's what she said? Or something like that? Okay. We're doing it live. So this topic, let's get into it. Do MMORPGs have an ageism problem? And I'll go ahead and dive into Bree Royce's column here a little bit. Bree Royce talks about how in ESO, the supposed older player base was dragging the game down, according to some players. They said the over 40 crowd basically just weren't good at the game. And he argued that younger players preferred modern MMOs with modern flair. Okay, well, apparently they just dismissed whatever topic this was immediately after, so I guess I'll just jump ahead. But it was a panel question they had. And it looks like they kind of dove into it a little bit more in detail here. For example, Bree Royce says, I think ageism comes from all ends. And I think that honestly sums it up, like, without reading further. Ageism in MMOs is always going to come from both ends, because there's always going to be this, like, desire for people to want to play with people of their same age group. But also, some people realize they don't always want that. Maybe period, or maybe just in general. For example, when I was a younger kid, I found much more enjoyable guild experiences and group experiences when I was playing with adults. That's why, as I've told people many times before, when I was playing SWTOR, sorry, Star Wars Galaxies, um, I was playing with people who were like 40, 50, 60. And I was like 14. So, yeah, I was pretty young. And I think for me, though, it gave me such crazy experiences and better experiences in ways. But at the same time, whenever I would get like discrimination, if you want to call it that, for ageism, um, I kind of understood it because I played with a lot of kids too, and I knew that like they could be annoying. So there's a little bit of both sidesism going on here for sure. And I think that also something that actually Carlo makes a point about here is you have to realize that where you're hearing about certain conversations happening, you're kind of going to get a certain like slide as to where it's coming from. For example, if it's like MMORPG subreddit, most people there are like insanely miserable, as I'll show you an example of. Watch this. Starting a new MMO. Time to play my new game. So are you going to play, or I'm reading about character builds? This is the reason many people don't enjoy video games anymore. They're always trying to find the most useful builds and tactics, instead of just enjoying and exploring. This is exactly why I don't enjoy video games. I have to min-max and just be optimal at everything all the time. He didn't say the all the time part, but I'm adding that for extra flair. Otherwise, I'm wasting time. Okay, where to start? First, let's start with the meme. This meme is true, right? Anyone who knows this meme is true. That if you're going to play an online RPG, no matter what size it is, you're probably going to spend your first couple of hours looking up what the game's about, what you want to play. But people who try to use this as a own have always bewildered me. I approach this to anything I do. I try to like learn a little bit about it before I like do it, you know? And I think most people are like that. It's just that like online RPGs are typically a lot more like knowledge specific. So there's a lot more to learn about them. But that's also part of the game. So whenever you play D&D, is the part where you create your character before you technically created your character not playing the game? No, it's playing the game. And playing the game is just by creating in D&D, by thinking, by participating in D&D. Now, to dive into the whole min-max concepts here, because I do want to talk about those a bit more, is that these are just, I mean, Reddit has become sadly a place for, well, maybe it always has been, but it's like a place for tons of incels. But also like people who are either, you know, intelligent or think they're intelligent, but don't apparently have a lot of, like, of hobbies or just like things to occupy their time, to put nicely. So yeah, I think that that's actually a problem here. It's a problem because why does the fact that you have to like find the most useful or best way to play something make it unenjoyable? If that's how somebody else finds the game enjoyable, that's just called life, guys. Like you learn that as a kid, that some people just like different things than you. So for example, I've played D&D with D&D like what I like to call mechanic slaves or mechanicos, you know, to use the league terms. These people, it sounds silly, but like they're so mechanical in D&D that all they want to do is just like dominate the game. They're not so focused on roleplay. Roleplay is secondary for them. They just want to win. And that sounds strange because you're like, win, it's D&D, but yeah, some people love to be the hero through their gameplay. And people in chat can back me up on this. Truth is, I don't like playing with players like that. So I don't. Now, sometimes I can't help it, right? Maybe I'm playing at a party or something, which has happened to me before, and somebody has a flying fucking tiefling that can't be grounded or whatever the fuck, and I'm just like, uh, I just want to be an ogre. Like, I just want to role, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's this is one of those things where it's about like group activities and how you formulate your groups. Also, this is the difficult part about virtual worlds. Really dictates your enjoyment. And people hate when I say this and talk about stuff like this, but it's just true. That if you're not having the right experiences, it's because you don't have the right people that can give you the right types of experiences that you would want or prefer. And that's why people like me, or like, you know, one of my moderators and friends, Card, got into MMOs and virtual worlds so early on in our lives, is because they became a place that offered things that other places didn't. So they could offer like a place to talk to, intellectualize, a place to meme, a place to joke about stuff that you could never talk about in person, a place to learn how to socialize, literally learn how the world works. As weird as that sounds, but I learned that a lot from playing virtual worlds and interacting with them. And then going to the second comment here, this is exactly why I don't enjoy games. I have to min-max and be optimal at everything. No, you don't. No, you don't. Nobody said you did. And you don't. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of rope here, like, which is that, like, technically speaking, some of these developers are designing online RPGs in ways in which they demand your, you know, optimal, if that makes sense. Not because they're hard, but because they're just designed to constantly put you on a gear treadmill to get to the next optimal gear. That sort of race, I can understand why people would get frustrated about that, because it feels like if you stop racing, you get left behind. But that's not what people are talking about here. What they're talking about is this idea that because other people are performing better than you, because they're willing to put in more time, that's worse for you. That's not how the world works, I'm sorry. Video games don't work that way either. You can enjoy video games because you're not good at them. I will give you fucking tons of examples, and many people who know me can back me up on this. But, like, all right, I'll give you, I feel like this is the best example for me. I'm fucking horrible at golf games. But my uncle loves playing golf games. Like, all kinds of golf games. The ones where you hit it with your fucking hand, the ones where you play like Tiger Woods. But if my uncle asks me to play golf, I'm gonna play with him. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a social activity in which I'm trying to connect. And, you know, like, people are usually surprised I play sports games in general. I grew up playing sports. Despite being a major nerd, being locked in my room willingly. Locking myself in my room. You see my point? Like, so that doesn't mean like, oh, you're just saying to be optimal amongst everything else. No, I'm saying if you don't want to be optimal, don't. But realize that if you're playing with people in which it feels like they make you be optimal, then you just have to find different people to play with. And that, again, can sound like a shitty thing to have to stomach, but it's just true that sometimes people don't feel the same way as you, and they play the game differently. And I'll give you a good example. I always use this example. When I got invited to play WoW Classic, I kept reiterating to everybody, hey, I only played TPC and I only ever dueled people, so I don't know anything about these two games, like, or expansion, you know, after the game. I'm not looking up any guides, like, anything. And my entire guild, who was made up of largely classic players and, you know, many hardcore players, Baconite, actually, in our community is one of them, nobody cared. Did they rib me about it sometimes? Or, like, make jokes? Like, yeah. Especially whenever I would, like, do stuff or, like, fall off the dungeon or whatever. Like, it was funny to them. But did I, like, take it in stride? Yeah, because I knew that I wasn't looking up guides beforehand to play a fucking game I never played before. And you might say, yeah, but, like, Is there anything wrong with that? Not inherently. I think for me, though, virtual worlds are a lot about experiencing them for the first time. And that's a bit different than, like, if I'm playing Zelda Majora's Mask and I didn't use a guide as a kid. I keep looking over here because it's where my camera used to be. I wouldn't have known what to do. I'm just going to be honest. I was fucking like 7 when I was playing Majora's Mask. The game was hard as shit, okay? I will admit, I got the Elite Mask, the Zoro Mask, people call it, by using the fucking guide, okay? I don't know about anybody else, but I'll just admit that. Yeah, it seems like this person actually seems to be in remission here, but it's just strange that people upvote stuff like this. And this is what I'm saying, like, Reddit becomes such a toxic place inherently, is that it's not about having like a witty discussion or back and forth, because people will just dogpile that and think that it's, you know, negative or bad or whatever else, and downvote things they don't agree with. But it also just becomes people circle jerk a lot of the same shit. And people have been circle jerking stuff like this for a while, which is this idea that because like the internet was only invented 10 years ago, now MMOs and online RPGs and gaming has been ruined. It's like, guys, I was playing MMOs, looks at the fucking calendar, 23 years ago. Actually, 24 years ago. That's how long these games have been out. And there's people playing them before me. And there's people playing the other versions before me. And I knew kids growing up playing pen and paper D&D. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it all goes back to something. But the point is that I've been in this for such a long time that I've been hearing this forever. Even back then. And it's also the same thing people say about, oh, everything's solvable because you can just look it up online. Then why didn't everyone have the Mandalorian armor in Star Wars Galaxies? Your counter might be, oh, because, you know, YouTube wasn't widespread then. I mean, while that's kind of true, even though I made Galaxies videos on YouTube, we had Alakazam, which was a guide website, just like, not Wowpedia. What's the one that's older than Wowpedia? Is it Wowbot? No, it's not Wowbot. I'm blanking on it, but maybe somebody in chat knows. But you get what I'm saying? These websites have existed for ages, dude. Ages. I'm not just exaggerating. I was using the guides. That's how I know they exist. That's why it's always funny to hear these arguments from people. It's like, guys, you want to take away these guides? How the fuck would I have played this game as a fucking 8, 9, 10-year-old? I wouldn't have. And maybe you would argue, well, you shouldn't have. And you just, Thoughtbot, thank you, Ghoulish. And you just want to gatekeep me. But literally, how could I have played these games as a kid without fucking guides? And Alakazam, and Thoughtbot. And later on, places like Icy Veins teaching me how to PvP. And learning from gladiators and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I get what people are getting at emotionally. You want more discovery, more like things to come up that you're not really aware of. But that requires developers to take risks. It's not just looking stuff up that defeats that. Developers have to take a risk that says, like, you can only unlock this if you do these very specific things. Sure, maybe you can look that up online, but it doesn't mean that everybody's going to do it. And that's the point that I'm making, is like, just having information online is not a sin. The problem is when the games become so easy and formulaic that everything is so easily solvable. One thing I'll give Elder Scrolls Online credit for is that it actually has a lot of unlockables. And I think that unlockables actually make a game explorable, in a sense. Maybe the overmap isn't explorable in ESO, but you want to explore your character at the very least, which I think is at least a cool concept. Thank you, Dota. I'm trying to fix stuff right now. I think it is because my audio is... How can I turn my microphone to stereo? Does anyone know? I think that's why. Um, does anybody know if that's why? And also, you can't change like any of your settings whenever you're streaming already. That sucks. If not in OBS, then my drivers. Ah, good point. Sorry for all the dead air. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, well, I have it on mono audio. I think that's what I have to have it on, right? Sorry, I have the new Windows now. I'm not used to this shit. Where is everything? Where am I? Uh, I don't know. It's not my weird. It's not my mic. Like it's not on my microphone's end. Yeah. Well, no, the mono audio is how I hear things. I'm not sure why my microphone's coming that way. Let me look that up. OBS microphone. Only left ear. Is it your left ear or your right? Um, if one input's in mono and anything checks for stereo, mono will fill only one of the channels. Ooh. Boxy coming in with the big brain. Because guess what? My sound is on stereo, but I don't know. Does my sound settings matter in that sense? Like, what I mean is under audio in OBS, it does read stereo. Should I change that to mono? Is that what you're referencing? Your left or stage left? Shit, that's a good point. Where's the mono option? Join us on the live side. Then your mic will simply just not work. Thanks. That's I love the internet. um Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure this shit. Oh, okay, here it goes. There, boom. Oh, Boxy, you're a genius. So Boxy was technically not right, but put me on the right path, which, you know, for someone like me, an intuitive, who also has a horrible memory, most of my conversations are like, wait, what was I saying? And then my friends go, grass. And then I'll be like, yeah, so grass, like, if you cut it too much, like, and I'll start, like, finishing the thought. I wonder if any of you guys are ADD like me. Appreciate it, Boxy. Also, what's up, Madness? Dota. What's up, everybody? SDD. WoW raids opened 30 days earlier in the US before we were watching YouTube videos. To understand boss mechanic at day one. Yeah, so that was 14 years ago, SDD says. And this is what I'm saying is, I'm not the only one. If anyone else in chat can share your stories, please do that, and always do that, guys. Like, yes, in the comment section on my YouTube video, sometimes I can be an asshole, but if you're in good faith and you actually want to talk about something, even if you're adversarial about it, I mean, I think people in chat here can back me up pretty nice because I'm a nerd. I just want to talk about this stuff. I just want to learn. I want to hear more experiences because the truth is you guys are, you know, what powers me, powers my output and input in so many different ways. And I'll give you an example. Like, I've met developers through this channel, well-known developers. I've met entry-level developers. I've met mid-tier developers. And yet, the most insight that I get comes from testers, comes from passionate gamers. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's not me knocking developers because they can't tell me the same sort of stuff. and give me the same sort of experiences. So players and player input really does matter a lot to me, and always has. I think the difference that people are sometimes surprised by is that I actually bite back. So if you want to take shots at me, cool, but don't cry if I start shooting them back at you, which is sadly what most of the internet has come to these days, where it's just like, I hate saying the classic back of my day, especially now that I'm 32, but it's like, seriously, you guys would have gotten eaten alive back in my Half-Life private, match or private server days, like when we were playing Half-Life mod servers. I'm just saying. Shit was brutal back then. When we were playing, what was it? What was Team Fortress 1 called? I think it eventually became Team Fortress 1, but it wasn't called that. It was called something else. Yeah, no, that's a good point, Madness. And I think that I'll be the first to admit that, you know, and I've always admitted this, which is why it's always a bit funny when people pretend it's like a Scooby-Doo moment where they're going to pull the mask off and they're like, oh my god, suddenly Nerd is an asshole to people. It's like, suddenly? Guys, I grew up on the internet. I'm not exaggerating. The internet raised me more than anybody else did. What do you think my experiences were growing up on the internet? I was in something awful. I was in Goon Squad. Like, I was on Get Raged forums. I was playing all the full loop PvP MMOs with all these same people, and Cart knows the people I'm talking about. And maybe many of you guys, I was a kid, okay? So it's not like I'm like still Goon Squad, 4chan, or whatever today, something awful today. Not that they're the same communities. I don't want to put them that close together, but you get what I'm saying. Like, but that was normal back then. Just being a part of like Newgrounds and all of these like meme places where the content we were consuming was was very edgy. And it wasn't edgy because we were trying to be edgy. It was just like, I don't know. Maybe people were trying to be edgy, but I don't remember it that way. It felt more of like people were expressing themselves for like the first time in new spaces. And maybe we were just weirder back then when we were more concentrated. But yeah, like something that I've kind of like adapted lately is that like as much as feedback matters, YouTube comments are obviously not really going to be where the feedback is that great, except when I do my community posts. My community posts, I typically get like some pretty good feedback if I'm being honest. But sadly, in general, YouTube comments don't really give you that much quality, not because like people that comment YouTube's comments are dumb. I think it's just partly people use YouTube comments more like a place to vent. And I think that's why I'm seen as a hostile person sometimes. If you're somewhere to vent, and I know I'm going to trigger some people in relationships here, or ex-relationships like me, sorry. But if you encounter somebody who's just trying to vent, then what ends up happening if you try to problem solve that, right? And I'll go big screen for this. They get mad at you. Because you're sitting there trying to Mr. Logic my way through the problem, which I am that way. That's why I'm saying it. I'm autistic. But you're gonna piss people off sometimes. So sometimes like that's I think where like the divide happens. That's why I'm glad so early on when I did YouTube, I made my Discord community because it's actually a place that I can have a lot more of the interactions that I wanted with my channel. And again, that's not to disparage those who comment on YouTube. It's just, I'm being honest, that the best interactions that I have are going to be in voice chat on Discord. That's just the best friends I have in the community and the closest community people I've all interacted with on voice. Or have interacted with me direct line to voice, meaning that they're chatting with me and I'm voicing back to them. I'll count that as well, just because, you know, I grew up also with people not wanting to use their voice. Why didn't I want to use my voice as a kid? Anybody know why? Because I was a kid. So I did not want to use my voice. Luckily for me, thanks genetics, and if you can tell by how giant I am, um, I hit puberty when I was like 11 or 12, so my voice was already deep when I was like a little kid. Um, I was getting accused of being in my parents' basement and being a no life nerd when I was like 10 and 11, 12 years old already, which was always funny to me. People would literally say, yeah, but you live in your parents' basement. I'm just like, I'm 12. Is it bad to live with my parents? Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to pretend, and I never try. I never try to pretend that the internet back then was like a safe space. Okay, it was a safe space because it was the only space, but it wasn't really like a safe space, meaning that we were ruthless about stuff. In fact, part of a lot of my like discourse and internet, context comes from my days in the forums growing up in IRC chat. If anyone knows me on Discord or has ever chatted with me on text chat, you immediately know that I came from IRC chat based on how I type. What's even funnier is I used to write that way in middle school until I learned that that's not how people spoke in the real world. I remember like showing up with an essay that was like all fucking IRC chat like text, leet speak, and my teacher being like, "What the fuck is this?" and me literally being shocked. That's how much on the internet I was back then. I was like, "What's wrong?" Like I didn't even understand what the problem was. What's wrong with putting you? Doesn't it mean you? Like you. She was like, "It's you." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know." um, yeah, that was funny. But at the same time, the forums were beautiful because it was like a place where you had forums specifically dedicated to trolling or memes. So people would just go there and have fun. And then you had forums that were more so for like serious discussions. Some of these would actually literally say, this is serious discussion. And for example, I remember one of them that I would go to. It had a political subreddit and it had a technical subreddit. And both of these were like, you literally had to be on your P's and Q's. And if people, quoted you and like sourced you on something and made you look like a fool, um, you would kind of just not show up in the thread anymore and just take your L. With places like Reddit now, you can literally have wrong opinions get upvoted like to like hundreds and hundreds of upvotes just because it sounds cool. Like, so yes, people might look at that, and I know a lot of normal, modern day people say that. I'll agree there slightly, the Great Defender, that Discord is an evolution of the forums. And yeah, it's very serious business. Yeah, Discord kind of is an evolution of the forums. It does give me the most chance to meme and just kind of be silly. And if you look at my history, I mean, shit, haters. If you want some ammo, just look through my history. I meme and say edgy shit all the time on Discord. And yeah, it's because it is kind of just like the, what it is, right? It's like a place where you can show more of how you are as a person. And it turns out that that is how I am as a person. I like to fuck around and make jokes, and I still laugh at YouTube poops, and they're fucking 15 years old. I don't know if it's the autism at this point, or I'm just stupid. But dumb, random humor always just does me in. I just can't. Like old Newgrounds humor just, I don't know, maybe I just grew up with it, or it's just because like I think so much that when something fries my brain, it just makes me laugh. I don't know. It's a poor replacement because sadly, That's a big part, Boxy. I agree with that. But also, there's not like people can say, yeah, it tells you where there's a new post. Not really. Um, the new post thing feels overwhelming. And I rarely, if ever, see people go back into a conversation and then re-engage in it. That's a problem, I think. Forums used to have that a lot more. Forums used to be like, if a topic was on page 3, maybe somebody would bring it up again on page 5. On Discord, if something goes down and you wake up in 2 hours and you check your phone, you're not gonna fucking talk about that shit. Like, most of the time you won't. I do. And sometimes people in Discord are like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, sorry, I'm talking about that thing from like 2 hours ago. And they think I'm the weird one. And I can't even blame them because I kind of am. Because it's like, if you were sitting in a room or walking around a town and somebody said something and then you walked back 2 hours later and then responded to them, you know, it's kind of like, they'd be like, what the fuck? I mean, I think that'd be funny as fuck, personally. Yeah, exactly. It's a feed of posts, not threads. The difference with threads is that threads are more like you can just like keep revisiting a certain place, you know? Um, and that sounds funny, but it's true. You know what? That I'm gonna agree with you, Girk. AI kind of has ruined YouTube poop in a sense because now you can just like YouTube poop anything without actually having to do it in the same way. You know what I'm saying? So like what I mean is like now the AI can literally just create the poop meme. And people wondering, what the fuck are we talking about? I'll be the internet historian for a second. YouTube poops are basically just like random mishmashes of popular IPs, usually like the worst versions of them, cartoons, bad movies, you name it. And then they're kind of like transformed into like side stories that don't make any sense or make sense, but they're just so stupid. I mean, that's basically what YouTube poops are. You watch them and you're like, wait, what? Wait, wait, what? That's what a YouTube poop gives you the reaction. Like you're constantly just, at least me, because I think they're hilarious, but you'll watch them and just be like, what is going on? Like I saw one RDC World, one of my favorite creators or group. They're a group. The group are a group of my favorite creators. And one time they got trolled on stream with the link, and the link was like talking about like something relevant to what they were talking about. And then immediately after it was just like, and then the heavens came down and it just started like doing all this random shit. And they were watching and they were like, what the fuck is going on? And all of them were like, what the fuck? And then they started getting scared because they didn't understand the connection. They were like, well, how is this connected? I don't even understand this. And of course I was just laughing the whole time because I'm just like, that's what YouTube poops are. They're just meant to just, you know, fuck your brain. I typed it out. They're from Texas. I typically find people from Texas to be more of my kind of humor in general. Because I'm a Texas boy as well. Or British people, typically. I've actually been thinking if I'll end up living there. Madness. I know you're probably telling me, why the fuck would you? Nothing, no classic American answer like returning to the homeland or something like that, but like, I don't know, I love living next to the water and having access to nature and history. And places like Scotland have that in spades. And I still have family that are there, so it's like I would at least have like some sort of connection. Um and yeah, I've just been thinking about it lately. For those that know me, I've always thought about where I want to live internationally. I'm currently in Mexico City, and I'm currently here actually mainly just to get my black belt, kind of like better myself as a person in a new city that I enjoy, that provides different kind of like benefits and challenges. Um, because I don't really want to live in the U.S. Obviously, I spent most of my life living in the U.S. And after COVID, it kind of just like changed me, without ranting too much into that stuff. But I was kind of like, this is a perfect moment for me to live the dream I've always wanted, which is I always knew I was going to live other places. I don't know why. Well, I guess it probably comes from the fact that my great grandpa was a circumventer. He world traveled after the military, like after World War II. He went to school and then went on like a circumvention of the world. And he had this massive bookcase where he would just put all these like artifacts from different places, like fucking some conqueror. No, I'm just kidding. Like a Scottish conqueror he was. No, I'm just kidding. But and I thought it was just so cool to see all the history like that. And I remember my brother told me, he told him once, he seriously considered living in Asia just because he just loved it. Um, and I was like, wow, never expected a Scottish American from Minnesota would have, like, out of all places he went to in the world. This is me as a kid thinking this. Now I know that Asia's beautiful and stuff. Remember, we're small-minded at this time. And I was like, why would he want to live in Asia? And that kind of like opened my mind and eyes to the idea of like, what if you live somewhere else, you know? Yeah, and then like old forums, the way that they're kind of bad is they're very elitist, and I think that they can be overly elitist. I was a part of INTJ forum for many, many years. That place was insanely gatekeeping and elitist. Like, and I get it. Part of it is that everybody wants to be fucking diagnosed or test, I should say, because you're not diagnosed, you're tested as an INTJ just because they're cool in movies and shit. And that's what Sherlock Holmes is and whatever. I'm an ENTJ, by the way, but it was just like constant gatekeeping and gatekeeping and gatekeeping. And we found that the people that actually like became friends and met each other in real life were the people that were talking in IRC chat, instead of on the forums. So I think Thailand actually, which surprises me. I don't know why my great grandpa wanted to live there or what specifically, but I know he had a lot of like Buddhist relics. So maybe he just enjoyed the culture and just enjoyed like Buddhism. I'm not sure. He wasn't a very religious person. Um, so I don't know. It was always interesting to me. Are you currently playing any MMO? I mean, technically, I've been testing some games right now, and I'm putting out some sponsored videos pretty soon, as people might know. Ragnarok actually sponsored me twice to do a classic video, which is kind of confusing because, okay, let me explain. Ragnarok Online is the main fish that everybody knows. But some years passed and the private servers kind of took over. Gravity pivoted to the second game, which didn't work. They then started pivoting to mobile games. And although people can hate on them, they worked tremendously. So since then, Ragnarok has been making tons of mobile games, but the confusing thing is that they have so many different ones within like the same universe, kind of. So one of the games I'm covering is Ragnarok V Returns, which is a sequel to Valkyrie. But it's like, you only know if it's a sequel if you know the connection with the Valkyrie and the V, and if you just go read the lore. Otherwise, you don't even know it's a sequel. So that's kind of confusing. And then I'm covering Ragnarok Classic Mobile, which is not Ragnarok 3, which is actually Ragnarok Classic. Ragnarok Classic M is like putting WoW Classic on a mobile like platform. Whereas like Ragnarok 3 is like a remaster, like WoW Classic was. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of confusing. I think actually ironically, Thailand is probably the only place I would live in Asia, and that's because as people know about me, uh, I like to smoke. Um, although South Korea is literally one of my favorite countries in the world in many different ways, culture, food, music, history, um, martial arts. It is a place that would charge me 50 grand if they ever caught me smoking weed and then throw me in jail. And that's not an exaggeration. Um, yeah, I think I'm good on that. I'll visit South Korea, but I'm not living in a place that jails people for fucking smoking an herb that they've been using for like thousands of years themselves, which is just bizarre. Weed literally comes from Asia. Like, I might be Mexican, we might smoke a lot of it, but like, weed comes from the Hindu mountains, and that's in Asia. All right, I have another little topic here. Let's get into it. Yeah, and then there's even more. There's actually another Ragnarok game too. There's Ragnarok. It's in like alpha or beta right now. It's like creature creature battle or some shit like that. They have like a Pokemon Ragnarok too. I know I'm fucking shattering your brains. You're like, what the fuck? But I've been learning about this stuff because they sponsored me. And look, when you're at my size of channel, and I am now the main editor, you take the opportunities as you can get them. And I've always fought to get endemic sponsors, sponsors that are actually related. For example, I didn't like having to do Manscaped ads. Luckily, I didn't have to do them for long. Though I probably would have kept taking the money because I needed it. Um, these are endemic sponsors. So sponsored videos are, I know some people don't want to watch them, and I understand that. That's within your right. Just like you don't have to like it if you watch it. But you have to understand that I gotta get paid. Because otherwise, I have to change my business plan to be more about trying to get clicks. And I've never really wanted to do that, to be honest. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Madness, is I don't know, maybe you don't have much experience about Scotland, but people talk about the sun thing a lot, and yeah, it rains in those places a lot, but I don't know. Mexico City doesn't have a lot of sun either. It's sunny, and then it's rainy, and then it's cloudy, and then sometimes, yeah, clear sky. But it's not a super sunny place. Maybe because I'm from literally like the sun and desert of South Texas, that I'm used to the sun literally like you're just like trying to hide from that motherfucker. You're just like, bro, go away. You're literally cooking me today. My perception of sun's a little bit different than other people's. Um, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I don't. I mean, The thing about sponsored deliveries is they're actually typically pretty easy. And if anyone ever tries to get me to censor something, I always say no. That's just a fact. I mean, anyone who knows me in real life knows that. Like, yeah, if I'm at a dinner table with the wrong people, I'm not going to say something. I'm not that autistic, but I'm saying, like, if you're asking me to compromise my values, for example, I don't believe in taking money for gambling. Because I don't believe that I should advertise gambling to people that are either very, like, susceptible to it or underage. Why? Because when I was a kid, I was addicted to gambling in virtual worlds. Like, I've told the story before, but like, I take gambling super serious. And alcohol is the same for me. I wouldn't take any alcohol sponsors. I wouldn't ever even entertain it. No matter how much money, I don't care. Because that's a principle for me, right? But then people try to be like, they'll like move your principles around and be like, yeah, but you took a sponsored video for Ragnarok. Doesn't that attack your principles? It's like, how the fuck would that attack my principles? Is my principle to not make money or like to never exchange money? That's not my principles. When I was a kid, I wanted to get paid to play video games. That's what a sponsored video is. I'm getting paid to play a video game. I can't complain about that. Even when the games aren't that fun, it's kind of like, am I really gonna fucking sit here and complain about this? Like, when this is what I wanted as a kid, even if I don't like the game, like, should I be like some YouTube comments and just be like, yeah, but this isn't the next gen big game that I care about. Why are you playing it? Well, because I need to make a living. Get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, I'm never going to complain about that because it's like, I remember when I was, working in construction having to walk 50 stairs because the elevator wasn't working because we had to always be early on the job site because I handled fire stopping. And do it over and over and over and over again. That's hard and annoying. Because you're just like, can't you guys just fucking plug in a fucking rope pulley system and just get me going? Nope, they can't. You gotta walk up 50 flights of fucking stairs. And that's not me trying to say like being a streamer or a YouTuber or content creator or writer or whatever you want to call whatever people do isn't hard. Of course it's hard. But that part of it, playing a video game, that's not the hard part. So the hard part is trying to balance content like that with serious content, and take sponsors that you can use strategically so you can make sure that other videos don't need to make that much money. They can just be good. So for example, Lost Ark is coming out. I'm working on it right now. And that video is going to have a sponsor, which means that I don't need the video to perform super well. Of course I want it to, and I would love it to. And I still kind of need it because I don't make that much money monthly off of, not having sponsors, I mean. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, so that's where, again, sponsors just end up being so helpful. If you take sponsors on a game you don't actually want to play. I mean, I don't know, maybe because I've worked in project management for like 7 and 8 years before this, I literally like can't comprehend what it is that you said. Like, and I'm not insulting you or anything, I'm just saying like, the concept of like, but why would you do this if you don't like it? It's like, you know how many jobs I had to take that I didn't want to take? And that sounds strange because you're like, why would you not want to take a job? Doesn't that mean more money? Guys, it's not a straight line. Sometimes a project is a pain in the ass. Or sometimes it's going to take a fuck ton of red tape. For example, one time we went after a bunker. I told Card about this actually. It was a bunker on the water that needed like explosive grade fire stop, which I didn't even know fucking existed, okay? And to get onto this project, you literally had to get full FBI background checked. Like, that's, what I'm saying? Like, there was so much red tape around it where after everything was done, my boss, and I won't even say for reasons why, did not even want to do it anymore. He was just like tired of the government. Um, so yeah, like maybe that's why I don't really understand it, is that when you work a job, sometimes you don't always do things you specifically want to do. Like, I would prefer to only cover major MMOs and major online RPGs and get paid to do it. But the truth is, I don't. I make YouTube content about those things that gets me paid. You see, it's like similar but different. Meaning that I'm not actually getting paid to play those games. I'm getting paid to make content for them, right? Maybe. And if I get sponsored, then obviously it becomes like, yes, you get money. Okay, another topic. How good do you think you are at playing my mouth. MMOs. MOP. MMOs, MOP. MMOs, MOP. Oh no, I could do it. I'm not tongue twisted. MMOs, MOP. But massively OP. MOP for short. Brought up this topic. And what I think is interesting about it is this is always just a fun question to ask yourself. And just ask people in general. To see kind of what their perceptions are about things. And I love to see examples in which you're either surprised at how good you are or surprised at how bad you are. I'll give it a good example. In League of Legends, there was a famous, was he crap? Was Froggen Dutch or Danish? I know I'm gonna piss off a bunch of Europeans, but Froggen, and remember he was on CLGAU? Was he Dutch or Danish? Anyway, Froggen, he has a really cool story. He used to play only normal games until eventually, like, some ranked players encountered him in normal, and they said, "Why are you playing normals, dude? You're like fucking amazing." And he was just like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I just play normals. I don't play ranked." And they were like, "Why don't you play ranked?" Within 1 or 2 months, he was like a top ELO Diamond player. So he had no concept for how good he was until people put him into a position, and then suddenly he was like amazing. It's always one of my favorite stories about like skill differences. And then of course other examples exist, and I've told this story before, where when I was playing Guild Wars 2, which is one of the most difficult MMOs and online RPGs you can play, literally. It is an extremely difficult game to play. I was PvPing in it, and I remember I got sponsored by Curse Entertainment at the time, before they got acquired, I think. Or maybe that was after. I don't remember. But the guy that was running it is actually the guy that runs Team Liquid now. Which was Chris, or no, it's Steve, Liquid 112 is his name. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. I think he actually runs... Wait, does he run 100 Thieves? No, he still runs Team Liquid. Anyway, that was actually like the guy that recruited me in Guild Wars 2. They wanted to just have like a sponsored team because Guild Wars was going to do like a big ESL push for esports. And they were like, okay, you got a team, right? And again, I've told this story before. I lied. I was like, yeah, I got a team. I did not have a team. I only had 2 players. So we had to pick up like 2 more players. And needless to say, that process was extremely difficult because we did what was called open recruiting. Because you might say, why wouldn't you just recruit amongst the top players? Well, all the top players were already on top teams. And because Guild Wars 2 was a very niche game, there wasn't like a fuck ton of talent. And there needed, more time to develop that talent. So it was just a problem. And what ended up happening is when we did this open recruitment, we had a couple processes. We would evaluate them on individual skill, mechanics, and teamwork. Okay. The first round of testing was dueling, and you had to duel each of us one time. No, 3 times. I think only one applicant, no, maybe 2 applicants beat a single one of us in a duel out of like 70 people. Out of those 70, we broke those 70 down, and these were also high ranked players, to about 40. And then just based on kind of like talking and interacting with them, to probably like 20. And we trialed them in actual matches. We would have matches where some of these players would not even talk at all. And again, you might be saying, dude, it's just a game, bro. This is the pro level. You know you're applying to the pro level. And you don't even communicate at all. Like, in sports, you would be like literally ridiculed on the spot. Hey, get vocal. In sports, they don't give a fuck if you don't want to be social. It's actually something that I'm very fortunate about. I've talked to Card about this before, is I'm glad that I had a sports experience, even though I meme about sports a lot. You know, you guys hear me. I listen to Lonely Island's sports. We like sports and we don't care who knows. Like, I am kind of that way. Like, sports is a bit silly to me. And what I mean is that a bunch of people watching something that they've never played before and never will play, maybe it's the autism. Again, I know it keeps rearing its ugly head, but I don't understand that. I only like watching things that I like could do. And you might say, yes, you don't have hobbies outside of that. No, of course. Like, I'll watch fucking lighter fluid fucking art if it's cool. But am I actually going to really get dedicated into lighter fluid art? Not unless I actually was doing it. And, you know, Americans might scoff at the idea of this, as many of them might be under their breath, because America is a great spectator sport place. But I think that it's part of our culture to watch things more than we do them. And that's actually always been something that I've been against. Slight tangent, but it actually is a big reason why I got into content creation. Because early on, I would watch game trailers, GameSpot, IGN, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, you name it, all the OGs. And they fucking sucked at MMOs. And it literally used to drive me mad as a fucking, like, prepubescent teen, like, going through, you know, my changes or whatever. my morphs. Like, I remember just hating it. Because I felt like they weren't representing MMOs correctly. I felt like if you had someone better to play them, it would look better. Now, the funny thing is this ended up being true amongst other games and other genres as well. For example, the shooter genre is one that if you suck at a shooter, people don't want to watch your review. You don't even have to be good. Just don't suck. Like, everyone's going to want me to pull up the Polygon. No, that's a game. Is it playing Doom? Wait, hold up.
And immediately
He looks like my dad playing fucking Call of Duty 3, bro. Like, my dad has issues with Z-axis, so he can't do both at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Like, he can only go up or he can only go sideways. He can't do this. So he literally looks like my fucking dad, and my dad grew up playing Sonic at the arcade. My dad's nasty at Sonic, by the way. He'll destroy me at Sonic, and he'll destroy you at Sonic too. But you get what I'm saying? Like, he's only headshotting him because he finally moved his crosshair up, like, high enough. See how much cooler the scene looks? It's not about being elitist. Sometimes art is just supposed to be shown in a certain way. And I know I sound like so fucking egotistical or like artistical here, but like autistical. But I care about this a lot. I want video games and art to be shown correctly. It's why I hate this new age, like, show everything in a fucking trailer. I hate that shit, man. Like, go watch the Knives Out trailer. You can basically figure out the fucking plot by watching the damn trailer. And it's a mystery. Like, what the fuck? That shouldn't happen. Meanwhile, like, there's some good trailers. Like, Shutter Island is very, like, what's going on? Which it should. Because anyone who knows the story knows. Shutter Island is crazy as fuck. Yeah, no, that's another example. We have the Cuphead guy, and there's more. And so, like, you know, long story short, that used to bother me a lot. Like, I wanted the games to be shown correctly. And there was nothing more obvious than this. Alright, so this happened live. I was a part of it. I was there. I observed this with my own eyes. This made me cry a tear of nerddom. Alright, context. Darkfall was a game that was incredibly imaginative and innovative. Looked like shit, sadly. Even though I still like the graphics. But it's like 2003 fucking PS1 graphics. Or PS2 graphics. 2003 PS2 graphics. But Darkfall, you know, was made by a small developer. Created with spaghetti code. And it basically got too big for its britches. It had like 100k players when they never expected to be that big. They were like the first, basically, indie company to hit it real big. And Eurogamer tried to play the game, but basically just ended up giving exactly the kind of review that you would expect from them, which is that the game's hard and we don't like the game. While that was okay as a perspective, a player actually tracked down the Eurogamer account and saw that they never left the tutorial, like, Goblin area. Needless to say, that pissed a lot of people off. So as the story goes, every clan in the fucking game declared war on Eurogamer, even though there was no one in the guild. As a performative measure to show that, hey, if you're gonna review the game, at least, you know, put some fucking time in. Don't come over here and drop 2 hours and then tell us how the game sucks. When you're an outlet who gets paid to do this. A content creator can do that, we felt, you know, but like not a professional outlet. You should cover this like earnestly. But anyway, that was a cool example. This is kind of like a rehash back to the previous meme. Being new to an MMO and getting a power guildmate to play with consistently. Then finding out that they're a lead speaker who just cares about being, like, the best. That's not your friend. That's just the person in the game that's on your friends list. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but, adding somebody to your friends list doesn't actually make them your friend in real life. I wish it worked like that when I was a kid, because I would have made friends a lot easier, but it doesn't actually work that way. No, like, in fact, someone added me as a friend yesterday when I was playing League. He only added me because I was just, like, trolling around on Heimerdinger. I don't know him at all. We never even talked to each other. So is he my friend if I accept it? And I did? Is he my friend now? In real life, he's my friend? It's like, no, he's just my friend in the game. So the point is you can't have the same expectations of them. Right? Expectations are the death of everything in game. Like, seriously. I don't expect randoms to treat me fairly. Not in this context. I mean, you know, respectfully, yes. Nicely, yes. But I'm saying, like, what if they start hitting me with, like, broken lead speak and want me to get, like, better gear? If I don't know them, honestly, that's probably kind of how I would expect them to react to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's your expectations. Oh yeah. No, honestly, I'm glad a lot of the current culture didn't exist back then too. Just like as much as I talk about the past, I'm glad some of the old culture didn't exist today. Um, it's kind of why like I hate when I hear gamers or nerds talk about being persecuted because it's just like is has being a nerd in real life been hard sometimes? Like, yeah, for sure, especially in my neighborhood where like ESL was the norm. But at the same time, is it really that bad when you got the internet, you know? You have video games. There's other places you can go as a nerd. And I think that this idea of acting like we're persecuted, which some people do, there's a very large streamer who talks about that a lot. We're not persecuted. We're just gamers, guys. Brighter Shores is not having some brighter shores. They're down to like 380 peak players of late. That's not good. You don't need a detective to tell you that. Do you guys want to watch some new gameplay? Let's see what's out. I think there was some Ion gameplay recently. And I'll be honest, I'm not super high on it. Oh, let's go into it. Alright, if you guys remember, I made a video about Ion. In that video, I said, why did you guys create a concept and mechanic that you ended up not even like focusing on? That was the flying mechanic. Well, they took mine or somebody else's advice because they made this game actually fully traversable by flying. And they show that off pretty much immediately. Well, I think this is gliding, or whatever they would call that. This is flying. No, that's gliding. When he goes down like that, that's gliding. But, I don't know what that other thing was. Some kind of mount. But you could see that he could fly a lot. In Ion 1, you could only fly if you found those little, like, fly things to keep flying. Your flying would run out so fast. So that's cool. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about some things that already a bit, worried me here. Let's pause. I don't like the UI. And it looks so similar to Throne and Liberty. And that shouldn't surprise you, considering they're made by the same fucking publisher developers. But my issue with it is that I don't know if this is just resonating well in Korea right now, and I don't have any evidence to prove that. I know this right here is very common in Korea. Menu bar, map, followed by quest log. That's extremely common in Korea. I don't know if this is always super commonly done this way. There's like no borders on this fucking health and mana bar, which is weird. Looks like I drew it or something. And then this chat looks very Western to me as well. You might say, oh, emotes, it's Asian, but it's like, I don't know. And this just looks like bland. There's no coloration to it. Just look at it. All of the abilities look the same fucking color. And you might say, yeah, but this is testing. I don't know if they're going to change that. The colors are all boring. And I think when you don't have a UI that is customizable or looks good, it can make other things look worse. Alright, let's see if we can find some combat here. Because they're probably going to look at it for like 2 hours. Alright, so here we have another example of bad players playing games that don't show for good content. Bro. You're in the mecca of MMOs right now. Yeah, I know it's muted because they're gonna be talking. See, watch.
에임 시스템을 설명을 드려야 될 것 같아요. 아이고, 애들.
And remember, my understanding of Korean is only like 1.2%, you know, like, so I probably pick up like one word every 3 sentences.
됐네요. 이렇게 가운데 화면을 보시면 여기에 이렇게 점이 하나 있는데 요 근처에 가까이 가면은 이제
카이각나나?
애드가
애들을
되죠.
시켰네요. 예.
저 굴렁쇠 로탄 우리 기억하시죠? 추억도 많이 있던 친구인데.
Dude, I
시점,
got nothing. Maybe it's their accents, but I'm picking up nothing.
운동
But the sound for the game is not bad. So let me just like say I'm muting it because their voices, but the sound is not actually bad from what I could hear. But my issue is just the approach is so weirdly like apathetic. If you approached a dungeon like this, everyone would immediately start raging at you. Cause look, he like looks and it's like, huh, what's going on? Oh shit, I already pulled a mob. Like literally anyone watching this is like, oh, muted doesn't color, my bad, card. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like now he's already into a fight after he just pulled mobs. So again, you might say, who's gonna notice that stuff? Bro, MMO players are fucking nerds. This idea that we're this massive millions and millions and millions of player audience is delusional. Most of our games never get more than 1 or 2 million players at one time. Maybe over time, right? Maybe WoW in its heyday had 7 to 10 million players, but nobody else is doing numbers like that. Like, nobody's in the millions just casually, except like Final Fantasy, barely. Think about that. If Final Fantasy is one of the most popular MMOs and that thing barely scratches a million, what do you think everything else is at? We're small fish. Yes, these games are massive, and yes, we want massive dreams, but we're not a massive genre. We're pretty small. The visual effects actually have the same problem that Ashes of Creation have. Fuck. Ah. What in the bloated fucking heck? What? Okay, where to start? Enemy nameplate followed by enemy HP bar. Teammate followed by teammate HP bar. Parry followed by giant scale with a skull on it that hit for 75, 79, that then exploded into some red bomb that did how much damage? 77,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is how I work with a client whenever I'm going through their gameplay. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Literally. 1445? Is that the year that this game was fucking designed? Because I literally don't... What? Back. Does that mean you're hitting them in the back? Do you see what I'm saying? There's too much information, and none of it makes any fucking sense. That's not good when this is also supposed to be kind of like an action hybrid game. But look, I can freeze frame again, and it's just like, okay. I can kind of understand what's going on now. Kind of. What? Did this freeze? Weird. So the issue here is you might be saying, yeah, why do you keep talking about the players not being very good? These are developers. First off, not all developers are good at games. Second off, I haven't met many developers that are good at MMOs, I'm just being honest. And third off, this guy is keyboard turning. That's why he's moving this way. He's most likely pressing right click and moving with his WASD to turn his camera or something, because he moves it so strangely. Watch how he moves his camera. It moves like boom, 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 like in like 3 motions. Okay. Now we have a boss. Let's look at the visual feedback here. It looks epic. Boss looks scary as hell. Cool. What is he saying?
애들을 거리에 딱 발을 대는 순간 띠딩 하게.
Hey, y'all heard that one, right? Attack pattern. He says he creates an attack pattern. Korea attack pattern.
자동 죽기 있습니다.
If you're expecting any more translations, I got nothing.
진 크기가 좀 작다고 하는데 다음 빌드에서는 진 크기 좀 늘려줄 수 있나요?
아, 예, 늘릴 수 있습니다.
네, 지금 아직 개발 단계니까 얘기해 주시면은 적용하겠습니다.
덧도 깔 수 있고요. 그럼 여기 오면은 이제 더 밟으면은 기절하게 됩니다. 그리고 저기
So, what he's doing, I could ask Card what's wrong about this visually. If he could probably tell me. But when you're recording content, especially when you're trying to show it off,
방금 전에
you don't do stuff like this. You don't break your view. You do this. Yeah, he fixed it. He
이
fixed it.
상태에 걸렸어요.
I was gonna say you have to always make sure everything looks
위에
aesthetic.
있는 이제 게이지가
And I noticed that what he's struggling with. You guys can't see him. Look, I'll move myself. God damn it! Why does it keep moving that one? Okay, it's this guy right here. It's the guy right here.
그루기 게이지.
He's the one playing. The problem he's having is he's trying to be both at the same time. He's trying to play the game and be cinematic. Watch.
그리고 저기 이제
He goes for a
방금
cinematic
그루기
shot.
상태에 걸렸어요.
But then whenever the boss does his telegraph, he's like, "Oh crap!" and he like forgets how to move.
거기 이제 그루기 상태에 빠지게 됩니다.
숫자징 없냐고 하는데 숫자징이 저희가 있습니다. 숫자징
Tanking looks
이따 숫자징 한번 찍어볼게요.
okay,
자동 사냥 모드도
but people might say, "Yeah, but this looks cool." My problem is that this is the same problem Throne and Liberty had, which is what Card is addressing. It feels like so much of the game looks bland, and then suddenly, boom, big shiny things. And I think that works in a cartoonish or stylized style, but these are anime styles. I don't know if that necessarily works in the same way.
보여주세요.
아,
자동 사냥
없어요.
모드 없습니다.
아, 지금
This is cool. Throwing in some flying into the dungeon. I like that. Let's go to the boss fight. See how he doesn't turn his camera until after he moves? I'm sorry, but I think that actually is a problem visually. I'm not saying that's the game's problem. I'm saying if you're trying to showcase a game, you have to be good at showcasing the game. I know Splitgate 2 gets a crap ton of crap, and rightfully so. I'm also going to be covering it very soon. I want to show you guys something. Actually, I'll find it in my script real quick. I'm looking for a gameplay clip on purpose. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is actually of the first game. But what you're going to notice in this is that this game looks pretty different than when you see it in other gameplay videos. Do you want to know why? Because the guy playing it is actually the creator. And he's actually really, really, really good at the game. And I think he's even better in this clip. Because he shows off some of the movement. This is after the game's been updated a little bit. Okay, this looks like an IGN clip. Never mind. Ah, here it is. Here it is. I found it. Expert level Splitgate arena warfare gameplay. Yeah, so when you watch this, you're watching one of the lead developers and creators of the game. Actually, the guy that walked on stage with the baseball bat and wore the hat that said, make shooters great again or whatever. This is him. He's actually nasty at the game. But the reason why this matters... Okay, stop playing for a second. The reason why this matters is, like, look at how much cooler the game looks. When you're watching that clip I just showed you, where it's like a guy running back and forth for a minute. And look at this guy. He knows all the boost spots. He knows how to portal through the map. He comes back, fucking turns on people. Like, he's doing all this crazy shit. Like, that's why it matters. Because when you put it in the hands of someone who can make it look fun, it's gonna look fun, you know? Let me take a piss. I'll be back. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I'll never, I'll never not remember and laugh at that hilarious, fucking post that I got. Whenever people were like, "Oh no, Nerd's having a meltdown," and then after that, someone's like, "Maybe Nerd got hacked because recently, on his community post, he said howdy, and the people who say howdy are only people from the South." Or like the Appalachians, or places like that, like country places. And I'm like, yeah, let me show you a picture for comedic effect. Sorry, I gotta go find it. It's here. Okay. Meanwhile, me. That's my brother's steer. Well, at the time. And that one won Grand Champion, which is literally the best in show. So, like, yeah. It was just a bit comical when I started getting the Reddit and YouTube psychoanalysts telling me that I'm not a Southerner because I don't have an accent. Like, what the fuck? I say howdy and y'all all the time, and anybody who knows me knows that I say it all the time. That's when the content creation stuff for me becomes a little bit weird, because it's like, I love doing this stuff and I love interfacing with you guys like we're doing now, but I don't like that stuff. I don't like someone telling me, are you sure this is Nerd? Didn't he get hacked? It's like, what are you talking about? I love the country. I want to live and I want to have a farm, bro. Like, more like a ranch. I probably do aquaponic, a fishery with like some, basic greens. But honestly, I would only do the aquaponics just because I know fish and it works. I like to just catch fish normally. But that's a cool way to get a source of fish as well. Anyway. I hate this everyone can do everything approach. Me too. Because not all of us can. You learn this if you play MMOs. Isn't that funny? If you play the right MMOs, like the ones that require teamwork, the ones that are called MMOs usually, and actually are, those one require like different sets of skills. And I'll give you a good example. Actually, I've told Card this story before. But one time I was playing Darkfall, and one of my friends starts having this rant, and he starts like telling me about how this guy's annoying him. And I was like, what's going on? He goes, well, there's this guy. He just like, he constantly like talks about like contribution, but I feel like he doesn't really, you know, understand how things work. And I was like, what do you mean? And it turns out he was talking about me. He goes, well, this guy was talking about you and some other guild members, and he kept saying, well, why do they get this stuff? They why do they get the money or gear? They don't even contribute. And my friend was mad at him for saying that. And he actually ends up telling me, he's like, I'm mad, and I actually defended you because I told him he has the most kills in the guild combined. He's killed the most players by himself. What do you mean, why are we giving him money and gear, and why do I support him? He's one of the best players on the server. And I remember when he told me that, obviously I felt, you know, like, oh, thanks, buddy. But I didn't understand it. So this is not even like a humble brag moment. It's actually literally, I didn't know what value I was providing. I was just playing the game, you know, like I came from playing Halo and StarCraft, so when I approached MMOs, either PvE or PvP wise, I always tried to, you know, diligently approach it. And yeah, I remember he was mad at that guy, and that guy was the main crafter that he was mad at. But he had to, like, you know, quote unquote, teach him a lesson that, like, hey, people offer different sets of skills, you know? Like, maybe this guy isn't the one crafting everything, but if he's the one killing everything, then he's the guy that you craft for. So he can kill everyone. And I'm sure there's many more examples. But that's just one off the top of my head. We're doing a lot of story time today, and that feels good, honestly. We should tell more MMO stories, because I have so many of them. Too many of them. Yeah. I love the types of players that you encounter in these games and these worlds. They're just such characters. I mean, the people in chat right now are all pretty much characters in their own right, let's be honest. Maybe some of us more normal in some ways than other, but I think that's also part of playing a virtual world, is you're a character. You're playing a character. And you kind of realize it goes past whatever it is that you're doing with your mouse and keyboard. And it's also how you think and feel about stuff that matters too. And sadly, that's what so many developers are missing. They think that GTA works because GTA is just massive and ambitious. No. GTA works as a franchise and has worked because it's been steadily expanding itself and making it more into a simulator, which is always what, like, the goal was. Right? And I think that, like, I'm not promising the next GTA is going to be good, but I'm just saying, like, you can't just be GTA. And even Rockstar learned that the hard way, which is fucking hilarious. Because don't get me started on Red Dead Redemption 2. I actually lost my save files, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to go back and play the game at this point, but I'm going to rant about RDR2 for a second, okay? I liked Red Dead Redemption 1, and I liked Red Dead Revolver, even though it was a different game. It was just a gunslinger. Red Dead Redemption was like, okay, more than a gunslinger. Now it's like an action RPG kind of thing. That's cool. You can level your character. You can get better stuff. You can make money. You might say it was like GTA, but I would push back. Because I think that the first game, while the online was modeled after GTA, many people in chat here can back me up on this, the single player wasn't. The single player was a lot more of like a small story about whoever it is that you're involved with, and kind of things unfolding from the perspective of that. And it's the typical GTA, like, light story fashion. So it was like GTA in the sense that there wasn't like heavy story. But RDR2 is clearly not that. They went full cinematic, full GTA 5, full like production, cinematic shots, angles, and you name it, and missed the entire fucking plot in the process. I think personally, I actually don't think it's a good game. I think this is the most clear 7 I've ever seen. That's what I would rate RDR2 as a 7. It's a serviceable game. You can have fun playing it, but if you see a fuck ton of value in it, I just question your interest in the same types of things that I'm interested in, and I'll explain. Is it possible that we all rate games differently? Of course, opinions are opinions. Just because I have a microphone in front of me, propped up or something, doesn't mean that mine's more important than yours. Now, maybe if we're talking about things that I know a lot more about, just like things that you would know a lot more about than me, like, where's Des to talk about that fucking bubble game? What's that game called? It's not, oh, Balloons. Is it Balloons? What's that fucking bubble balloon pop game? Many people can come in here and drop knowledge on me and I won't know. Fuck, you know who's a good example? One of Indigo's friends. I'm blanking on his name right now. But he is just an encyclopedia for the most random shit ever. And it's honestly kind of fucking cool. He'll just like tell you something about copyright law and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how do you know this? Like, he was like, oh, I was just reading about it. And I'm like, that's cool, bro. But anyway. My issue with RDR2 is this. It was clearly modeled after the GTA franchise. Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead is not the GTA franchise, and it never was. The other problem is Vice movies and noir movies are not comparable to Westerns. They're not. I've fucking seen them all. I've seen almost every major Western there is. I'm from Texas. I grew up in the South. My brother's best fucking favorite actor is Clint Eastwood, motherfuckers. What I'm trying to say is that when you play RDR2, it doesn't feel like these guys watched Western movies to me. It feels like they read Western books and read Western history. And that's way more boring than what the movies are about. Because movies are about entertainment. So, riddle me this. Rockstar, you guys made a life sim about a game based in a time where not even the people in that time necessarily found doing the fucking regular things they had to do as fun? Fun? Who was gonna find that fucking fun? Like, fun for a little bit. I mean, my brother found it fun, but my brother raises animals. What the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that your target audience? The Farmers Association or some shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally, my brother would be like, oh, it's so cool. You get to, like, take care of the animals. You gotta, like, skin them and, like, carry the corpses and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think most gamers want to do that. And, that's my issue with RDR2. Is that the pacing is fucking atrocious. It is horrible. Like, you have the same open world format of a GTA game, except it's not GTA. So it's just like wide open plains. Oh, but yeah, but you're a cowboy. Am I? The early quests have me running around just being a mule. I don't feel like a cowboy at all. And in fact, they don't even mention cowboy parts of the... It's just like, all right, put the horses up. Is that all that you think that goes into, like, working with horses? What about feeding them? There's no feeding concept in the game. Like, what the fuck? They went through all that work to make shit realistic, but you don't feed your horse? You know what I'm saying? You can't clean your horse? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it was like they read some books about the Westerns and were like, yeah, let's do a Western. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. But the plot doesn't seem like anybody actually watched any movies or read any fun material concerning Westerns. And I'll just be critical for a second, too. I'm actually extremely critical of the voice cast. Now, this is interesting because the voice cast, I didn't know this until after I started playing the game, is highly celebrated. Like, I see memes about Arthur's voice actor all the time. I don't think he's bad at his job. But with all due respect, what the fuck does he know about anything related to whatever the story's about? And I doubt he's a method actor, so he's not suddenly going to learn that stuff. My problem with Arthur is that people like me, who've been around people who are very, you know, farm-centric, cow-centric, horse handlers, you name it, they don't sound like that. He just sounds like somebody who's just like, kind of like a grizzled, like, criminal guy. But then it's like, all right, but then where am I from? Why don't I have like an accent that actually sounds like I'm like from this place? That's just my issue. Is the accent just... I'll pull up some scenes.
Here, this is private property. You're trespassing.
Well, the boys at the railroad camp, they don't seem too happy. Looks like you're in their way.
The boys at the railroad shack, they don't seem so happy. That's not so bad. But here's where it falls apart.
Looks like you're in their way.
Looks like you're... He pronounced your. Southerners, we say you're all the time. You're. Looks like you're in their way, is how we would say it. Looks like you're in their way. Now you might say, yeah, but he's not a Southerner. He's just an early settler. True. True. However, arguably the Southern accent actually comes from settlers. Irish, Scottish, British as well, settlers that had heavy accents. Extremely heavy accents. So when they came to the South, that's why South posh accent exists. Many people don't know that. Madness can back me up on this. He's fucking British. That South posh accent in the US is actually from the UK. There are people in the UK who actually sound similar to this. Obviously a bit more, you know, in their kind of like linguistic format. Like, it might be the same language, but people use words differently. But yeah, Madness can back me up on this. Like, these people actually... The Southern posh accent you see in tons of movies, it's actually kind of British, which is funny as fuck. So that's the thing, is there's not a lot of posh accent in any of this. So I'm thinking, okay, well, there's no posh accent in this. So it's not like the early settler posh like accent. And he sounds kind of grizzled, like he's been living in the boonies. But the boonies don't exist because they just started settling here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, look, I'll look up South Posh accent right now. Let's go with British first, right? Ranking... Okay, I'm not gonna watch this. People are gonna yell at me.
Posh.
Cockney.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay, now watch this. South US Rich. I don't know what they would call it in the US. In the UK they call it posh, but we don't use posh as a word. Really. So
Y'all think I'm country? Listen to my cousin.
So that's just a typical, like, a country accent. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, what's that fucking movie? I'm talking about accents like this.
Hello, my ass. Who this nigga up so on? I miss you like a hog miss flop, like a baby miss mammy titty.
You see how his accent is like ignore the profanity as much as you can, memers. But that's why I can't even play the whole scene, because y'all know what comes next if you've seen this. Look, see, there goes my y'all. I did it naturally. But I was gonna say, you notice how he has a lot of pauses in his speak? He's like, ha, 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 ha. yeah, it's Southern sounding. It sounds more American. But this type of speech comes from the UK. Obviously, they settled us. So it's just funny because there's actually a faction, and maybe Madness knows more than me about this. I forgot their name. But there was a faction of upstarts in the UK. They actually make up a large part of the early population in the US. I don't remember what their names. I think they were often called Mavericks. But they're a type of people who, even in the UK, were kind of considered to be a bit crazy and different, I should say. But yeah, accents are really fucking interesting to me for some reason. But yeah, so that's the thing is, like, Arthur Morgan's actor actually is dual citizen. I mean, he's a step further than me. Meaning I've got, you know, Scottish family, but he's dual citizen. So he has a perfect backstory to be an actor for somebody in this game. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, he's like a settler personality or settler, like, archetype. But he didn't grow up that way. He didn't grow up as a fresh kid of the fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, so he doesn't have, like, the background of that. That's what I feel with it. Ah, I know what you're talking about, Madness. It's because what those accents end up doing is they have too much pauses in them. Like they'll end up talking like this, and it's like, you know, going down over there, and it's like, is that a Jamaican? Or is like an islander speaking to me, or is that someone from North, you know, Ireland or something? Just like, I think there's only like one Scottish or one Irish accent in like the entire game of Kingdom Come 2 that I remember. And the Irish accent was medium tier, you know? It was alright. The Scottish accent was good. I think the Scottish actor is one of the main roles. Yeah, the voice acting in that game is pretty shit. Actually, I'll just admit it. Remember when you encountered the Jewish people in that game? I'm like, why does he sound like he's speaking like in slow motion? In my experience, Jewish people talk pretty fast. He might pause because they have to speak it backwards from Hebrew to English, but I'm like, what? But what the fuck do I know about accents? I just watch videos about vocal coaches talking about them. But Kingdom Come Deliverance, let's talk about that, actually. Because I've talked about it last time. I have an issue with that game, too. And very similar since to RDR2 as well. It feels like these are games trying to be open world games, but they're just cinematic games. So why make them open world? They don't have to be massive and open world and fucking annoying. You know, it's like Mafia 3. The story's not even bad, but the game has you running around fucking doing like stupid shit for 40 hours. That by the time you're done doing that shit, you're already bored. You don't want to play the game anymore. I quit playing Mafia after I played like 30 hours of running around fucking intimidating like ice cream parlors. I was just like, this sucks. Godfather's a better game than this. And Godfather was like old as fuck. That game came out in like 05, I think. Or 06. That's a sick game, man. If you guys haven't played the Godfather game, it's actually really good. What's his name talks about it? What's his name? G-Man Lives. My boy G-Man Lives. I like watching his content for shooters. And he liked that game a lot. Okay. Makes sense. It's descendant of a Gothic, as a lot of the European RPGs are. So that maybe that's why I feel like it was better contained, more contained. I don't like the fact that you can run everywhere. Like, I know some people are gonna be like, why don't you like that? they could have shrunk the map and had the same effect. Who's sitting here loves to just sit on the road and activate auto travel when you play Kingdom Come Deliverance? I don't. That's why I put my hand down. I like the game, but why do I even have to do this stuff? Like, the game's not made for that. So why am I running around when it's like most of the time the games just focus on the main story? The side quests in that game are not like Witcher. The sad truth is that most of them are shit. Most of them are very boring at the very least. For example, there's a quest line where you have to go to each pub and beat up everybody. Do you want to know what the next tier missions are? Doing it over again? And it's just like, you don't even make them harder? There's not even another tier of people I can fight? It's just the same dumb fucks who I already took their money, so why the fuck would they even fight me again? In fact, that's what one of the guys said the first time I beat him up again. When I beat him up, he goes, I don't even know why I said yes to this. It's like, I mean, I don't know either, bro. I like knocked you out last time. Why am I fighting you again for money? Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance has some inconsistencies because of this open world, and I think it's just developers want to make an open world. Seems cool, seems like a good idea. I think it's a bit of a trap. Look at Dragon Age Inquisition. Dragon Age, I don't think is supposed to be an open world. The first game wasn't. It was like, go here, then you can go to these places, then you can go to these places. It was a narrative game. Mass Effect 1 was like barely open world. Then they made more planets like actually explorable. The problem is that the planets are boring as fuck. So again, it's just a problem that every time you make something more wide and big, and that's what she said, you end up changing the chemistry of the game as well and how it plays. Alright guys, I don't have much else, so if you have any questions you'd like to get in, let's get them in now. Man, I'm glad I didn't play the rest of that fucking Django Unchained video. I forgot that I forgot that scene. Because I just searched like a random scene. The scene I looked up is whenever Samuel L. Jackson meets Jamie Foxx's character again. And goes on a fucking tirade on him. So, yeah. I'm glad I didn't play that one. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Any other comments? Oh yeah, yesterday there was 2 spinning elbow knockouts, which was crazy. I mean, let's look at Throne and Liberty right now. I like how Steam charts is always like a top ranked thing. Damn, bro. Throne and Liberty was a massive flop for them. My guess, and I'm not even kidding, guys, I'm being like serious. My guess is that Throne and Liberty is probably a net or a negative, like a net negative of as much as like 10 to 20 million. I'm not even exaggerating. I think this game cost them at least 90 million. Because Lost Ark cost Smilegate about 90 to 100. And Throne and Liberty's bigger than that game. I'm gonna say that it's probably bigger budget than that, even though they're made on the same engine. And let's say it's the same budget. I mean, 300k peak players. Check this out. Down to 18k. Not even in a year. and their numbers in Korea are worse, from what I'm told. Throne and Liberty doesn't do very well in Korea. I don't know why they put it in that fucking format. I can't even read that format. Okay. Do you guys see why I'm gasping? It didn't even make the list. Look at the. I love reading financials because they're always full of shit when they explain stuff. They're like, the period ended with a net loss, but it was because of a weaker US dollar. For people not, aware, this is the guys that did Throne and Liberty. And you don't even see it mentioned. When somebody doesn't mention something, it's because it doesn't make them money. So yeah, I think my estimate's probably right. This is like a 10 to 20 million loss for them, like a super loss. I don't think even if they try to redo it, I don't think they'll go even. I think that's probably why they tried to remake the game before, remember? They tried to remake it before launching it. They like changed the gameplay a little bit, and people liked it more, but still not by much. Wow. That's crazy. To see that level of fucking failure. It's what these business people do. It's why people wonder why sometimes, Justin, how come you seem like you treat business people like, shit? It's because some of them don't care about anything else other than just business. So if you're a human being like that, you probably don't offer a lot of value outside of that. And so those types of people who are just like, how can I spin this so investors don't get mad at me? They're thinking that way because corporations must be driven towards absolute profit all the time. And sure, Ubisoft is not an American company, so their structure is a bit different. But didn't they get acquired by one? Who did they get acquired by? Tencent. Tencent only owns 10% though. Yeah, no, it's owned by an old French family. So maybe you could make the argument that because it's from an old French family, they're out of touch, but what I'm trying to say is like the whole corporate stuff, it applies to them, but in a different way. For them to protect their game and protect their business is to protect their livelihood. So you might actually see more protection in some instances, right? Damn. That financial stuff gets crazy when you read about like hostile takeovers and shit. Alrighty, y'all. I'm out. I'm gonna hit the music. I hope you like it. And I hope you like the stream. And I'll talk to you guys later.